Good evening, Boston. We've been here once. It was a long time ago. And we're glad to be back. So have a nice night.
And good morning, for reals. Good morning. I just want to put it out there. I don't wake up this early unless I'm working out, and it's been like 2 weeks since I've worked out, so it takes a lot for me to get out of bed. But you know what? I just want to put this out there. Martin messaged me, oh man, a couple weeks ago and was telling me about these amazing things that he is doing, and I said, you know what? I can't pass up a good conversation with you. I met him in Boston, Massachusetts in 2018. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
And you know, we met at a pre-party, and we had a great conversation. We had a few pints at that conversation, and I've enjoyed watching your journey from a distance. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, your journey has been magical, and I say that with the unicorn essence of everything that comes out of it. But man, you know, I think, you know, I really appreciate everything you do, and I believe we both have the same heart in things, and when it comes to raising money for things that we care about. Excuse me, I'm still waking up, but. Man, I'm just so excited to have you here and to be able to talk about a lot of things about what's going on in your life. But before we even do that, you've been awake a lot longer than I have. How's your day been going so far?
Yeah, brilliant. Listen, thanks for having us on, Anthony. I appreciate it. So yeah, just after 12 o'clock here in Scotland. So yeah, 6 hours ahead of most people over in the States. So pretty quiet morning until about 30 minutes ago when I got an email from the press department of Diabetes UK. Over here to say that our story's getting run nationally. Our fundraising story is getting run nationally today in the press, which is fantastic. Just again raising awareness for what we're doing as we prepare for the tour, June's Pearl Jam in the UK. You know, so we're ramping up to do some stuff at the end of the month. So yeah, it was going pretty quiet, and then suddenly, you know, my phone's pinging, my emails are pinging around this press release. So yeah, fantastic, great opportunity and great timing to join you this morning.
You know, it's so well deserved too, because the one thing that I don't know if a lot of people think that these events and these fundraisers just happen. And a lot of people don't realize the time and effort that gets put in behind the scenes. And they also don't realize that 99% of the time, the things that are purchased for these events are coming out of our own pocket. And I know that you're working extremely hard to do this. And I know that we're not doing it for the recognition. And I know we're not doing it for the pat on the back or even for the National Association or Press. But it's really nice to have that recognition, but also to push the event nationally, so that that one person that might not have known about it, that could donate that little extra money to really push you even further. That's what makes it so special. So man, kudos to you big time for being able to get that press and get out there and be able to do all that, because that's huge. Because man, I'm hoping that just pushes your ability to raise money even further.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate that, and you know, this all stems back to that meeting with you that day in 2018 at Lucky Strike. Was that the bar in in
Lucky
Boston?
Strike.
Yeah,
Right across from Fenway Park.
right across from Fenway. I got a friend in Boston called Brandon Connors, and he reached out to me at the beginning of that year and asked me to help him facilitate the wish list pre-party in London for the summer 2018 shows in London, because in his words, I was a little bit closer to London than he was. That was his pitch. Which I fell for, so I got involved in that, and we did the pre-show party down in London, which was great, good success. And then we went to the shows. The second night got cancelled because of Eddie's voice, and Brandon gave me the ticket for the second night, which was then in July. And I went down, and getting to see them for a second time was brilliant. And then, unfortunately, just a few days after the second show, my mum passed away. And it was pretty heartbreaking and stuff like that, But just a few weeks after my mum passed away, big Irish Catholic family, Anthony. So when the matriarch of the family, passes away, it leaves a big hole.
Yeah.
So just a few weeks after my mum passed away, Brandon and a few other people from the Wishlist Foundation reached out to us and said, we'd like you to come on to a call like this, just to pick your brains around what you did at the Wishlist, how you got the volunteers involved and stuff like that. So I was like, yep, no problem, we'll come on. So I went on to the call, and they said, no, we've got you on under false pretenses. We actually want you to come out to Boston to the Pearl Jam shows at Fenway. And I was like, no, I can't come. My mother's just passed away. I'm not in the right place. And Brandon says, no, that's fucking absolutely why you should come. So we bought your airfare, and we've paid for your hotel.
Wow.
And we've got some tickets for you for the show. So, I think that was probably the first time I saw the size of the heart of Pearl Jam fans, and the generosity that was on display. These guys just want nothing back and just wanted to give everything, So I was like fucking blown away with this. So I managed to get time off work, and I went out for 5 days. And when I was out there, I couldn't not volunteer for the Wishlist Foundation. So I ended up manning the stall that I had a chat with you with. I was on for both events. And I just thought, this is such a fantastic thing. So once I'd packed my bags up and came back to the UK in kind of late September 2018, I thought, I need to pay this back. I need to I feel like I've got a bit of a burden on my shoulders now, that I've got something that you guys call it paying it forward.
Yeah.
But, I just got this little bit of burden that I kind of need to share. So fortunately for me, there was a Pearl Jam tribute band called Pearl Jam UK. At the time, they're now called Alive, a tribute to Pearl Jam. But they were putting a show on in Glasgow in November. So I thought, well, I'll do a little mini version of what we did in Boston. So I got some T-shirts made, the first Unicorn T-shirt 6 years ago, and I got some friends that I'd met online, and we said, well, let's do a little pre-show party, and it worked, and it sold out. We sold all the T-shirts. We raised £1,600 for, at that time, brain tumour charity and pancreatic cancer. Both of those things that were affecting people that I knew at the time. And it just felt really good. And it brought, for the first time in my knowledge, a Scottish Pearl Jam community together. Mm-hmm. And there was maybe about 20 of us, 25 of us. 6 months earlier, I thought I was the only Pearl Jam fan in Scotland. And then suddenly there's people that share the same music, that share the same kind of values that I did. So we, one of the guys that came along to that pre-party was a guy called Colin Roger.
Okay.
And I didn't know Colin, but Colin was doing his thing on Facebook, a page called Pearl Jam Alba. And he approached me and asked me because of what he'd seen that day, approached me and asked me if I could get involved with fundraising for him. And I said, I don't really, I kind of feel like I've I've got that's off my chest now. I've kind of paid it forward. I don't really want to get involved in too much. And then he said, listen, he was fundraising, or had been fundraising, for Diabetes UK. And to be honest, Anthony, if he'd said any other charity, I would have told him to go and take a run, because I was kind of spent. I had kind of ran out of the generosity, the energy at that point. But he said diabetes. So my godson is type 1 diabetic, and at that time he was 5. So still type 1 today, but at that time he was still young. He was just recently diagnosed. It affected everybody, his parents and everybody in the family. So I thought, okay, let's get it on. Let's go and do it. And that was the creation of Pearl Jam Scotland and Sounds of Seattle, the 2 pages that we run here. And at that time we had 129 people on board. And since then, it's just grown arms and legs over the last 6 years. It's been an incredible journey, and we've done lots and lots over that time, you know. But that was the origins of it.
So that was 6 years ago, and I know that, you know, these in the last 6 years, going through many shows, you definitely seen, and you talk about the growth of this. I mean, even being in Seattle this past week, I mean, you saw the T-shirt. Clearly, I mean, if you've been to a show in the last six years, you've definitely seen the flag. You've definitely seen the T-shirt. The question I have that I've tried to wrap my head around, because I know that in Scotland there isn't unicorns just running around freely, unless I am just mistaken. I mean, maybe this is something I don't know, and maybe it's something I'm about to learn about. Where did the unicorn come from?
Okay, so we do have a farm in Scotland, just the one where there's unicorns and haggises, and they roam free.
Okay,
you know, and they're not really touched by human contact. So
okay.
we try and keep that a secret, though.
Okay.
You know, we don't want to let that out too much. So right. the unicorn is a mythical animal, not particularly Scottish. But it sort of appeared in literature, Scottish literature, around about 1500. It was adopted into the Scottish literature around about that time, and it's a mythical creature, and it denotes purity and strength, and that's his kind of key line. So after it was introduced into the Scottish literature, you know, 500 years ago, it then started to bleed into the culture of Scotland. So a lot of coat of arms, a lot of flags. You know what a coat of arms is? It's a very, yeah.
I do. So I did.
So an army battalion coat of arms type of thing,
yeah.
So that then started appearing in a lot of Scottish coats of arms, emblems, and then it was just adopted as our national animal, just through the annals of time, you know. So it wasn't just a randomly picked mythical animal to represent our brand, if you like, of Pearl Jam Scotland. It was very strategically picked, and it was picked. Listen, Anthony, I've got a million stories, but it was picked by a girl called Lisa L.
Okay.
And we were sitting in between shows in Boston in 2018, September, and she says, "Listen, we need to try and find a way of making Pearl Jam aware that Scotland exists, because they haven't played in Scotland since 2020. No, sorry, take that back. They haven't played in Scotland since 2000.
Yes, June 3rd.
Yeah, June 3rd. So 24 years has passed. They come and they'll play Ireland, they'll play England, but they've never came back to Scotland. So she's like, we have to get something that we can represent ourselves behind.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you need? Because I've got a friend who can run T-shirts up. And we sat, and then literally on the back of a napkin, she said, well, Pearl Jam Alba, come back. And I wrote it on a napkin, and then I took a photograph of it and sent it to my friend and said, could you make a T-shirt of this? And he's like, yeah, it's not a problem. Just tell me what you want. And then literally 3 months later, I'm selling the original T-shirt at the pre-show party. And So the unicorn is our symbol. We get behind it proudly. I think the unicorn around the world has been sort of diluted into kiddies' toys and almost comedic, but it's taken very seriously here because it's our national emblem. So we call ourselves a unicorn army now because there's so many of us. There's 3,500 of us, uh, and we're represented at every show.
Yeah.
Every show around the world.
Every show.
We've got so many unicorns in the States. It's I think out of the 3,500, there's like 1,300 Americans who come and buy a T-shirt every year, and proudly. I just the bonkers thing is that when somebody like Sandra Ling, who we all know out in Portland, and she's an amazing woman, but when she wakes up in the morning and says, "I'm going to go to a Pearl Jam show tonight. What T-shirt am I going to wear?" And she pulls out the Pearl Jam Scotland T-shirt. For me, that's priceless. And I get photographs sent to me from all around the world of people at all these shows with their T-shirts on. It's fantastic. It really does. It warms my heart.
It is, it is kind of crazy when you think like, being, doing. I'm a small man on a very large totem pole when it comes to nonprofits and doing things and raising money for people. But it's pretty amazing when you run into someone wearing the shirt of something that you've created, right? And it is amazing that all these things lead back to Boston when it comes to the idea of the T-shirt and how we've met and how these creations and how the story of you creating all this. I mean, Boston is one of the most magical places in the world. So, I mean, I guess it makes the most sense that the unicorn would be created through the sitting in Fenway Park, which is also the most magical place in the world.
I love it. Coming back this year.
You are. So am I.
Yeah.
I'll be at Fenway Park in a week. I'm going back to Boston with the family. But yeah, I will be in. That is my next set of shows is at Fenway Park.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'll see you there. So there's a whole bunch of us coming out for the show. Yeah, so I think top of the head, maybe 12, 15 of us.
Good for you all.
Coming out en masse. So, really looking forward to it. I love Boston. If you've never been to Glasgow, you won't know the similarities between the two cities, between the two people. I've been to Boston 3 times now, and they're just Glaswegians in disguise. You are like I think you're probably on the same parallel as us as well. It's just incredible. And 2018, first time in Fenway Park. I'm not a ball fan. I don't understand baseball, but what I do understand is the heritage of that park. And how old it is and the history that it holds. A bit like I'm a soccer fan. I'm a football fan. Our park is 1888. And you can smell the history in it.
Yeah.
And I actually remember watching the first show, 2018. I was on my own, and I got in quite early, and I was sitting next to a barrier, like a divider from the next seats, and it was painted, but it had been painted hundreds of times, and somebody had hit something off it, and it had chipped away all these various layers of paint. And I was thinking that little shot is just the history of that ballpark, of all those different paintbrushes that have gone over it all over the years. Special place.
It is. I mean, we can almost have a whole show in damn Fenway Park. I mean, that place. As a matter of fact, if you look behind what shoulder is that? My left shoulder, you can see that's Pearl Jam Fenway Park that's the Green Monster sign, and you really can't see it, but that's me popping out of the Green Monster. That's probably one of the most magical moments I've ever had in my life, besides getting married and having kids, of course. But yeah, no, that place is pretty special. So let's kind of bring it all back around. So the T-shirts came out. It's everywhere. It's happening things. You got to meet Colin through the idea of Pearl Jam Scotland coming together, collaborating, making a friend for life because of this, which is amazing. And then you have this flag, which is something, I've seen pictures of. I saw it in person, and I believe it was in Texas. And that was something pretty awesome because, you see all these people who bring, country flags to the shows and they're waving them, because they're traveling and they're saying, hey, I came from Italy to come see you. Hey, I came from Greece to come see you. I saw a Poland flag when I was in the pit this past week, and I was like, man, someone came all the way from Poland to see Pearl Jam in Seattle. But your flag was something different because what I loved about it was getting passed around, it's getting signed, and I'm like, man, that's an interesting theory to have all these fans sign this flag and then kind of just pass it around. It's traveling, and it's not with the same person every time. It's getting passed around, and there's thought, and there's care, and there's so much behind it. But yet I don't know a damn fucking thing about this. I just see the flag and getting signed. I'm like, there's got to be a great story to this, and I know that there is. So, when I guarantee you that this all started from an idea of yours, isn't
it? Yes. So we, I think, the day job that I do is I work retail. I run a big hardware store, and it's all about being on brand and, promoting your brand and making sure that you live up to your brand and all that sort of stuff. It kind of bleeds into your other life as well, the stuff that you do that you don't get paid for, so very much for me, I think the origins of everything that we've done goes back to trying to get Pearl Jam to come to Scotland to play a gig. I think I would hang my hat up after that happens. I don't, to be honest, deep down, I can't see it happening again, but I will not give up the fight until somebody says to me, we're definitely not coming back to Scotland. Just pack it all in, Martin. So it was about branding. So what not branding. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to get something that the band would recognise. Okay. That if you're up on stage and you're a Mike McCready or you're an Eddie Vedder and you're looking out into the crowd and you see all these faces, I wanted them to see a flag. Yeah. And I wanted them to see the flag at every show, so that it then became that consciousness that maybe the next show they'd be looking for the flag. They'd be going, I've seen it for 5 shows now. Where is it now?
Yeah.
So I made a very conscious effort at the start of the 2022 tour that I wanted the flag to be at every show, and I wanted it to be visible at every show. So I put a little call to arms out to all the unicorns and said, who's going where on this tour? Who'll be at what shows on this tour? So I got a whole bunch of replies. And then I had to logistically try and, because we only had one flag, logistically try and
map it
get the mulling of this flag around Europe and America. So fortunately, as I said, we've got over 1,000 people in the States in a group. We got a couple of people to look after the Northeast. And then I got Diane McDaniel, who lives down in Vero Beach in Florida. She was saying, Marty, me and my husband have just retired. We're going to 11 out of the 18 shows or whatever it was in the States. I'll take the flag to all 11 of them. So I was like, wow, fantastic. So she was brilliant. So we managed to get it to 31 out of the 32 shows on the 2022 tour. We missed the See Here Now in New Jersey. The flag was there. The flag was in the hotel. But the person who was carrying it, who will remain nameless, felt that they may have got a little bit of heat from the security about going in with a flag. So they decided, without telling me, they decided that they weren't going to take it. And I only found out. And I could have got other people to take it, but I found out after the event that it didn't make it. So it was in New Jersey. It was across the road from the beach, but it just didn't quite make it into the venue. So we did that over that entire tour, and it was noticed. It was recognised all the way around, to a point where Diane and her husband Kevin had just finished, and it might have been the Texas show that you refer to. They just finished the show. They walked out of the venue, and you guys are probably there. She was trying to get an Uber, and it says you have to walk out of this protected area.
Yeah.
So she's trying to get an Uber, and they're saying, "Oh, you need to go across this intersection and wait across here." So she goes, her and her husband, and they're sitting on a raised ledge, looking at the Ubers. You know, it's coming, it's 2-3 minutes away, and they're looking down, and both of them are pretty exhausted. Diane's looking at her phone, and a pick falls onto the pavement, a guitar pick. So she looks at it curiously and goes, "Where did that come?" She looks up, and there's a black people carrier, big black Suburban, I think you call them, yeah, with the window down, and Eddie Vedder's leaning out the window, and beckons them over, and Diane's got the Pearl Jam Scotland t-shirt on, her husband's got the Pearl Jam Scotland t-shirt on, and they enter into a little bit of a conversation around the show and, you know, how they'd enjoy it, and the two of them said, you know, really appreciate it, and he's like, "Nice t-shirt, by the way," and Diane's like, "Can I get a photograph?" And his protection said, "No, listen, no photographs. Eddie's had a bit to drink tonight." So the window went up on the Suburban when the light went green, and they disappeared. And then to sort of reinforce that, at Hyde Park in London, we had a fantastic pre-party and show in London, because that was the first time after the pandemic that we could all get together. So I think there was about 150 people wearing Pearl Jam Scotland t-shirts.
Wow.
There was people all around going, "Wow, where'd you get a t-shirt from? Oh, I need to do that." And we had a couple of flags. And one of my friends, Lisa, who drew the original unicorn, she was front centre on the rail. So she put the flag over the rail at the front. And then I was off to the left of the rail, kind of almost round the corner, and I had my flag over. So during Porch or another long sort of musical interlude song, Eddie was doing his running along the stage, and he came to me, and he looked down at my flag, and he pointed at it, and then he pointed over to Lisa, and he went, "2 of them." And we're like, "Yes, there is 2 of them." So yeah. So the flag. I mean, I'm packing for Dublin later on in the month. So the flags are going to go on a little mini UK tour. So Dublin in the Republic of Ireland, and then Manchester and London at the end of the month. But you're right, it's so recognisable now. You know, anywhere it goes, if I take the flag out, people are just pulling pens out and they want to sign it, and you know. So yeah, long answer to your question. It was about branding. I want Pearl Jam to come back and play in Glasgow. As simple as that. Yeah. You know, we'll fill any auditorium that they decide that they want to play at. Just come back.
Let me ask you this too, because I mean, I know what Pearl Jam Scotland means to you, and I know what the initiatives you're doing means to you, and I think we all have different answers to this. But I mean, I think they'll come to the same thing. But I mean, Pearl Jam has definitely impacted your life. I mean, just in the 28 minutes we've been talking, you've definitely shared stories of what this band has done for your life, with it bringing these friends together who would have created this culture for you all over there, and this idea that's really taking from a small, you know, from over there to here, and it's grown and it's been impactful. But when you think of Pearl Jam, the band, and its music, what does that mean to you?
That's a great question, Anthony. So I was, 24 when I first heard Pearl Jam. I'm 55 now. In fact, I think I might be 56. Yeah. Great question. I would probably say to you in a nutshell, it's the soundtrack in my life.
Yeah.
You know, I could probably take you every year since being 24 years of age, and putting a song to each year, all the way through, from every album. what resonated with me the most was the music to start with. So I, as a 22-year-old, was into U2 and NXS and Guns N' Roses, a little bit more kind of metal. But originally, The Jam was my band, and The Who, and The Kinks, and stuff like that. You know, some of the early stuff. And I picked up 10 in the March of '92 because it came out in '91 in the States and it came out in February '92 in the UK. And I picked it up as a bundle of a whole bunch of other stuff that I was picking up from Tower Records across the road from where I worked at the time in Glasgow. And I came home and popped 10 on for the first time, sitting in front of the speakers, popped 10 on, and the first few songs had played. And I think I got to Porch, and it's still my favourite song to this day. I got to Porch, which I think is it the 7th track on the album, 6th track, 7th track.
Oh man, you are trying to ask me a question. It is still 6:30 in the morning here right now.
Yeah, sorry, mate. So I got to Porch.
Don't you dare apologize. This is great. I can look it up though.
I got to Porch, and there's a bit in Porch and it's like, hear my name, take a good look, right? And I'm like, fucking hell. And the music had never impacted me emotionally to that level ever before than that song was doing at that moment. And I shouted on Moira, my wife, who was out the room because the music was too loud. Out the room. I shouted, Moira, and she's like, "What is it?" And I went, "Come here," which is come here in Scottish. I was like, "Come here," and she's like, "What is it?" And I'm going, "Just come here." So she comes in and she's like, "You know, what the fuck is it?" And I went, "This is it." And she's like, "This is what?" I said, "This is it." And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "This is the music. This is the music I've been waiting on. This is it. This is talking to me. This is I've listened to the 6 tracks or 5 tracks before it, and they were all fantastic. And once I'd listened to it live and those 2 guitar solos at the end of a live, I was just like, this is fucking brilliant. This is the best music I've heard in a long time. And then it went into Porch, and then Porch was just like, this is next level. I mean, I'm talking in that after 30 years, the hairs are standing up on my arms, Anthony. It still has that resonance with me. So finding Pearl Jam as a 22-year-old, and then discovering later on that year Pink Pop video that somebody gave me, and then my brother-in-law taped MTV Unplugged for me much later in the year. So that 9 months from maybe March, April through to winter, December, best band ever. I'll never elevate a band to this status in my life. And 30 years later, I still haven't elevated a band beyond Pearl Jam. They're kind of everything to me. But I think, like everything, that you kind of fall in love in. There's times where you'll be distracted by other things that go on in your life. I know you're just a kind of new father, young kids. I'm an old father, older kids. So my kids kind of took dominance over,
Sure.
The 2008 through to maybe 2016 as they were growing up. So they didn't tour as much. So the first time I saw Pearl Jam was 2000 in Glasgow. Good show, not the best, but a good show, and that was a biannual tour. And then it was 18 years before I seen them again. So it was 2018. 2018, I saw my second show, and now I'm on. By the end of this tour, I'll be on 18, 19. By the end of the tour, so really, really crammed it in. So yeah, I got distracted with other stuff.
Don't you hate when you get distracted? Damn kids ruining everything.
When life gets in the way of having a good time, it's so frustrating. Do you know what I mean? Pesky kids.
Damn kids. I mean, God, yeah. Today, I mean, I have to work, and then my kid's got a bunch of things going on today, interviews, and I don't know. My kid's the celebrity in this house, but Then my daughter, I don't know. Yeah, you know how it is. It's constant things, but it is interesting how you kind of, it is true. There's like, you take breaks and then it's like you kind of fall back in love with it again. It's almost like that, that high school girlfriend. You saw her in high school, then you forgot about her, then you might have seen her later on. You're like, wow, she's, maybe she was,
Yeah.
now I saw what I saw in her in high school. But
Yeah.
it's that's that thing. The one cool thing that I've learned, because I did, we had talked about this before I went to Seattle. And while I was in Seattle, I've been talking. There was a conversation had among many friends, and they were all talking about, I had an event, and the event was successful, and we were talking about events coming up. And the person I spoke to said, "Yeah," I said, I said Martin's coming in, and we're gonna talk to him. And I said, and like, "Oh man, he's coming on." I said, "Yeah," and it was Randy, of course, from Live on Four Legs podcast, and we were talking about things like, yeah, he's such a great guy and what he does, and he's like, yeah, he goes, we're all, and he's a community guy, and so am I. Like, we all look into the community, and we all want to raise everybody up because that's what it's about, right? Like 90% of my friends are Pearl Jam friends, and that's who I see when I go on tour. It's about that hug, and it's about that community and stuff. And I know you've created that, and you've made those friends, and you've introduced the community to a lot of people, and you've also pushed for doing a lot for this community because of what you do. And there's one person in general that I remember the story coming out, and I don't know much about him, and I never got an opportunity to meet him. And it's Franz. This is someone, I don't know your connection with him, and I'd love to hear this story because I know that there was a huge push. Which also, P.S. I really want to sidetrack this a little bit and say that it is amazing to me how easy it is to connect with the band and give them a story, and if they find it's genuine, they will follow through with it. I mean, this past tour and actually probably the last 3. They have really, if there's a story that they feel is impactful to the community, that has impacted the community, they will pay tribute to it. I got to see it in Chicago with Eddie. And then, the story came out, and it was rearview mirror for Franz. And, the community really got behind it, and I got to see all these stories. And I remember I got emotional one night reading people's, their connection to him and what this connection meant, and them pushing for it. Why don't you tell me a little bit about this and the story behind it, and why this was such a push?
So Franz was a special kind of character. So he was Dutch, from a little town called Delft, which is an hour south of Amsterdam. And I think we got a connection maybe early 2018, late 2017. He was one of the first foreigners to buy a Unicorn t-shirt, version 1. And we got talking, and his English was good, but not great. So his translations sometimes in English were not the best. Which would give you a little bit of he would give you a little bit of curtness, so it would be quite direct, which I found hilarious. Other people might have been offended by it, but I found it hilarious. So the two of us kind of hit it off in 2017, and he obviously joined Pearl Jam Scotland, Sounds of Seattle. He was a addict on social media. He was always on it. It was like, do you have nothing else to do with your life apart from posting funny comments and memes online? Seemed to do it. It just seemed to do it 26 hours a day. He was brilliant, and 99% of the time he was funny. And he was funny with me, and we would have lots of conversations about Pearl Jam and family and life in general for a few years. What I didn't realize at the time, Anthony, was he was doing that with me, but he was also doing it with hundreds of other people around the world. So from people in New Zealand to people out in Seattle, he was having this personal interaction, but at a fucking global level. How he managed to do it was, I'd love to know how he managed to do it, because I'd love to take a little bit of that and use it for myself. But he was having an impact on so many people's lives around the world that I didn't realize at the time. So we continued with our relationship. We spoke often, but had never met. And then in late 2021, I just sent him the usual, or he sent me a usual, "How you doing, my Scottish fucker?" First thing in the morning, and I would go, "Very well, you Dutch prick," or whatever, just exchanging pleasantries. Yeah. And I said, "How are you?" And he says, "I got a little bit of bad news. I've got cancer." Just straight like that. And I was like, "Fuck, mate, seriously?" It's like, yeah. So I talk, anything we can do. No, listen, it's all good. At that point, it was just scans and, potential treatment, chemotherapy, radiology, whatever. And then just kept in contact with him, get anything we could do for you. We could see he was getting thinner and thinner and iller and iller. And then we, probably around about April time of 2022, he was getting really ill. And we knew Pearl Jam were playing in Amsterdam. And we wanted the band to give him a shout out in 2022 because he was going to the show. And we wanted to shout out for him in the show. So we myself and a few other people, Sandra and Tina and a few other people, kind of mobilised the community, try and get this rear view mirror for France put out. And we did it, but unfortunately it didn't happen. And I think it didn't happen, Anthony, because there was so much going on in that tour. Eddie's Voice, numerous cancelled European shows. I just think it was probably too much. I think they were pretty grateful just to have a show in Amsterdam. Sure. That's the one where they did kind of 20 minutes acoustic at the start.
Yeah.
And then went into, it was the last show of the European tour went into. So we all met Franz that day, and it was beautiful. We met him in a bar in just outside the Ziggo Arena, and first time I met him, and he was looking pretty ill. He was looking really thin. It was great to meet him. He had a fantastic time at the gig. We all met after the gig, and then we said our goodbyes. And when I was saying goodbye to him, I knew it was going to be the last time I was going to see him. And I think, a lot of us got quite emotional at the point. So we said our goodbyes. And, and Franz, after that, fought hard. Anthony fought really hard. And then in March last year, end of March last year, beginning of April, I got a phone call from one of his close friends and said, "Listen, Franz has gone into palliative care, so he's just, he's basically just getting looked after until he passes." And I was like, "Okay." So she said, "Listen, he's probably going to pass away soon. I just want to let you know that he doesn't have life insurance, so we're going to, his friends are going to have to bury him." And I said, "No, you're not going to do that. Let us take care of that. He's one of us. So he's one of the unicorns." So I put together a little Just Giving campaign. It was initially to help him with his palliative care, but almost immediately once it had started, he passed away at the beginning of April. So it went from palliative care to a funeral fund to help me. So 7 days we raised about $6,500.
Wow.
And we paid for his funeral, and the funeral was like €4,000. We managed to donate a couple of €1,000 to cancer research in the Netherlands, which was really nice. Family were really appreciative of what we did, as you can imagine, and we felt it was a send off. What was really, really nice, Anthony, and I probably haven't shared this with the wider Pearl Jam community, but he got buried in his Pearl Jam Scotland t-shirt.
Oh, Jesus.
So he felt strongly enough about our community that's the way he wanted to be presented for people who saw him for the last time, which was hugely emotional for me at the time, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And for everybody else within our community, it was really powerful. So we said our goodbyes. A girl called Daphne Boulton, who lives in the Netherlands, represented his ex-funeral. She went down with her Pearl Jam Scotland t-shirt on and represented us guys. and she went to the after the funeral. We call that wake after the funeral, and everybody was saying to Daphne, it was really nice what you said, etc., etc. So we felt good about that. And then we went into later in 2023 last year, and we were all going to the Chicago shows, both nights in Chicago. And I think I was having a chat with Sandra Ling, and she was talking to me about, do you think we could go again on Rear View Mirror for Franz now that he's passed away, and we've got a story to tell around his passing, and the funeral and stuff. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Let's go again. Let's try and really honor the guy, and because he had a big impact, and it was kind of that time where I was beginning to understand how much impact he had with so many people around the globe. Just cheery morning texts like "Have a great day" or "Thinking about you this morning" type thing. Really touching a lot of people. So I said to Sandra, yeah, let's go again. So her and Tina Lou she's from Boston area as well, I think. They created a bit of a social media campaign on their side of the pond, and I created the social media campaign on my side of the pond, and tried to get as many people as I could to email the band and say, this is this guy's story. We never got the chance to see it when he was alive in the Netherlands. It would be really good if you could honour him in Chicago when there's so many Pearl Jam Scotland fans there and so many people who he touched at the show. So we went to the show, and it was night one. And we went to the show, and I was with my friend Brandon from Boston. And Eddie goes on, and it's a home show for Eddie, and he's talking about his old house and somebody close to him passing away. And I turned to Brandon and said, I don't think we're going to get that. I don't think we're going to get a shout out for fans tonight. Eddie's already talked about that emotional journey with other people. And we went through the show, and just before the encore, I saw Eddie swapping guitars, and he came out with these kind of black and white Fender that he uses, and I know he plays that. Yeah, I know he plays Rear View Mirror with that guitar, right? So I was like, Brandon, he's changing guitars. It's quite unusual to change a guitar going into an encore. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. And then Eddie starts his story about, I heard a story about a gentleman from the Netherlands. And I was just like, fucking hell, he's going to give him a shout out, And what was so nice about it, Anthony, was it wasn't like Eddie was reading from a script. He was telling this story from his heart. And if you haven't seen it, I know you have, but if anybody out there hasn't seen it, just go Google it. It's on YouTube, Rear View Mirror for Franz. And he tells this heartwarming story about Franz and the impact he's had in lots of people's lives, the fact that he passed away, and the fact that we managed to raise some money for his services. And then he said, and this is a song he wanted to hear. And then he went, and then he Rear View Mirror. I was in bits, man. So I was an absolute bits. Brandon's consoling me. And unbelievably, I don't know, there was like 20,000 people in that hall. 18,000 people, United Centre.
Yeah, about 20, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, 20. So I looked directly in front of me, and Sandra Ling is 6 rows in front of me. And she turned around and gets eye contact with me. Right, and she's like, "Oh my God!" And then she points over or motions over, like to the next section, and Tina's in the next section. The 3 of us who had campaigned for it to happen were all within 20 feet of each other in that auditorium that night. So, and we didn't know it. We wasn't planned, didn't know it. I knew Sandra was down there because I'd spoken to her. But just for that to be played, and Sandra looking back at me going, and I'm going, oh shit. And then Tina, it was just, it was beautiful. It made a great show the best ever for Franz. So that was amazing. And there's a little prologue to that story, because after we did it, and I got so much reaction from it from people around. They were going, it was a beautiful thing. I decided that we would do a little pilgrimage out to Franz's hometown this year on the anniversary of him passing. So myself, Tina, and about 8 or 9 other unicorns all got on planes from wherever we were around the world, and we descended on his hometown of Delft on the 14th of April and went to his local bar and met all his friends, and we drank a lot of drink and toasted him with some of the finest single malt Scotch whisky. He had been a customer of the bar for 40 years.
Wow.
He had his own little seat at the window, and his friends they put a little plaque to where he used to sit on the window, which was really nice. It was beautiful. And then behind the bar, high up behind the bar, is Franz's tobacco pouch and lighter up, like as a constant reminder of him being in the bar. So we did that for the weekend, and it was fantastic. And I think you go back to one of your comments, 10, 15 minutes ago. There's no way we do this for recognition. We don't do it for praise. We don't do it for anything. That's what we do it for, because we're a community, and we look after each other. And if people need help and people need support, we'll do that, and we'll do it without flinching. So it's a beautiful story.
It always blows my mind when you think about how these couple of guys who created an album that created this community have brought so many people into our lives that have impacted us in so many ways, that have made us do so many positive things for this world, who've brought so many positive people into our lives that have, some have passed, some are still here, some have those connections. It's amazing to me. I'm jealous that you're about to experience what I experienced last week, because for 5 days, running around the city of Seattle and seeing so many of friends that, I adhere dearly, that, and having an event to myself and raising money for such an amazing cause and shedding so many tears up there of joy and for fight and so much different things. It's so impactful, and it's so amazing what this community's done. I mean, what you've done. I mean, as a person, you went from just, going to a show and then seeing the impact on it and the band impacting your life, and then growing this to such a level that it is. I mean, there's different, of course, levels of Pearl Jam fans, but if you are just a casual listener that have been to a show, you know what Pearl Jam Scotland is, and you know what its outreach is, and you know what you as a person have done for this community and for people, and how these people have come together for this and have made people's lives matter because of it. And that speaks highly of not just the band itself, but you as a person for really stepping out of a shell that you didn't have to step out of to really create something that has been so impactful and continue it. Because a lot of people would do it for a tour, like, hey, we're going to throw this together. It's an amazing thing and it's great, but it takes work. And not only have you done the work, and not only have you taken those roses, right? Because you've done some amazing fucking things, dude. Like you have raised a lot of money for a lot of great causes. And I know we're not trying to pat you on the back for this, and this is not just a rise you up type thing, but you deserve it. But in the same sense too, brother, like I know how much work, money, and effort you have had to put into this. And that just speaks so much volumes to your character of what you've done as a human being. It's just amazing. And I throw so much at, dude. It takes a lot, and it's just amazing of how amazing of a human being you really are to be able to have done so much in really such a little amount of time.
Yeah, no, listen, I really appreciate that. Nice words. We are a group of people, So listen, I might be the captain of the ship, but there's so many people calling. Rachel, who's helping me with the pre-party down in Manchester later in the month. I think 6 years ago, I took it all on, and humphed it around like a bit of luggage, and sometimes it did kind of weigh me down. I think through experience, and certainly through building the group and building a community, you find yourself finding more people like you. Yeah, so more people who want to help, and they want to give their time, and they don't complain, and they're like, yeah, just give me more. I can do that. So way back way back in 2016 when I was doing raffles, I'm the worst on Excel, Anthony, and I'm doing raffles and I'm trying to put people's names against numbers, and spending all this time, and finding someone like Stephen Dugan, who now runs all the finances for what we do in Ireland. He's been fantastic. So he takes the financial side away from me now. I don't need to worry about that. Colin, my partner in all this, he's the music guy. So he plays in a band. It's a grunge tribute band. He's a lead singer, great set of vocals. He does all the music stuff. So we do an annual music festival in September every year called Grunge Fest. It's happening in September this year, and he takes all that. He organises the bands, the venue, everything else. All I get involved in is the marketing, is to try and promote it. And then I pick up the charity stuff. So I pick up the fundraising stuff now as part of a kind of business. We're running a business now. So I pick up the charity stuff, the fundraising stuff, the promoting stuff, the trying to get the message out. And I think now that we've got these pillars, if you like, in our group, makes it a lot easier for me to run it. So no, without these guys, I'm nothing. We're nothing. I mean, Rachel Walker has been part of Sounds of Seattle, Pearl Jam Scotland for a number of years. I've seen her name popping up. She's donated. She's always buying raffle tickets. So when the tour was announced for this year, European tour, we're all crossing our fingers that they were going to say Glasgow or Edinburgh. Never did. But they are actually in Manchester. So Manchester's only 3.5 hours from our border. So it's not far.
No.
It's not far. Like you guys said, it's a morning commute. For us, it's a little bit longer,
commute,
Yeah. So we decided that we were going to do the pre-party, our usual pre-party. We were going to do in Manchester. So as soon as I said, listen, I did a little vote. Where do you want the pre-party to be, London or Manchester? And people voted Manchester. So we decided to do it in Manchester. As soon as I said Manchester, Rachel reached out to me and she says, I'm from Manchester. I work for the NSPCC, which is a prevention of cruelty charity in the UK. It's a national charity. She says, I work for a charity. I live in Manchester. Do you want me to be your man on the ground in Manchester around finding venues? And I was like, yes. And do you know what's really it was quite funny about it? That's exactly what I did with Brandon 6 years ago. So I said to Brandon, do you want me to, I have to be a man on the ground type of thing, And Brandon was like, fuck yes, because I don't need to do it. So I've kind of evolved a little bit. I was like, yeah. So Rachel's been brilliant, and she's got us a fantastic venue. She's got us fantastic prizes for the pre-show party and now after party for Manchester. But no, listen, it's great, and I love being the face of Pearl Jam Scotland. I love being the guy who's doing all this sort of stuff because I quite enjoy it. But there's a whole unicorn army behind me, pushing and supporting and driving what we do. And I think 6 years later, we've just got a fantastic community now. Yeah. I've met so many friends in the last six years. So many. It's countless now. It's absolutely countless. I think when I kicked all this off, Facebook for me was just a place to post pictures of my football team or whatever. And I think I had 100 friends. So today I've got like 700 friends, but 600 of them are Pearl Jam pals. And 100 are the originals from before I started all this. So all those people are, all important parts of what we do. it's a great community. We've managed to, and it's been organic. It was never a goal or for us to try and create anything. What we wanted to do, we wanted to raise money for Diabetes UK, and we had a good avenue for it through Pearl Jam. But what we as almost as a consequence of that, we've now got meetups before other gigs in Glasgow. We've got, we've got Grunge Fest happening, which isn't Pearl Jam related. We've got, the guys are meeting up before Smashing Pumpkins on Tuesday night. They all met up before Jane's Addiction last Friday night. So there's all these people meeting new people along the way, and we've made some best friends along the way. I never knew Colin 6 years ago from Adam. He's a best friend. I never knew Stephen from Ireland 5 years ago. He's now a best friend. So yeah, it's just that community thing is amazing.
It really is. So let's get into this pre-party that's coming up. Well, I think that's a good way to kind of get towards the end of the show. And then also, I know that before we get to that, there has been, and I've read about it, that you're nominated for Fundraiser of the Year this year, correct?
Yeah. So really honoured by that. So how it works in the UK and probably in the States as well. So we fundraise for Diabetes UK, which is one charity of tens of thousands of charities in the UK that fundraise for a multitude of different organisations. But there's a governing body of all the charity organisations, and it's called the Chartered Institute of Fundraisers. So they basically give advice and direction to all the charities in the UK about how to stay within the rules, auditing and all that system. And annually they have an awards where people are nominated for specific prizes. So I got an email maybe about 6 weeks ago from Fiona, who is our fundraising partner for Diabetes UK. So she helps us with, facilitating the fundraising events that we do. She'll turn up, she'll be present, which is really good. So she sent us a little email saying, listen, I nominated you guys for an award at this events dinner in the 3rd of July. I hope you don't mind, but this is the blurb. I was going, no, it's fantastic. It's really nice to be considered. And she went, no, you've actually been shortlisted. So you're now there's now 3 of you on the shortlist. So there's Pearl Jam Scotland and 2 other charitable organisations to be nominated for Volunteer Fundraiser of the Year. So I can't. It's quite difficult to articulate how big a deal that is in the UK, but it is the biggest deal because it's actually the governing body of all charities in the UK that we've been shortlisted to win an award from. Jesus. So really, I mean, just to be shortlisted, I'd just pack my bags up and go because it's a fantastic nomination. We'll find out on the 3rd of July whether we win it or not. If we win it, amazing. And we'll get a whole bunch of press that comes off the back of that. I can only imagine. But I'm not in it to win it. It would be nice, but just to be nominated for it is an incredible thing. So it just seems like all the planets are aligning, which they actually are. So all the planets are aligning over this 2 months, over this next 6 weeks. Over the next 4 weeks. We've got a really busy 4 weeks ahead of us. So we find out on the 3rd of July whether we've been we're a winner or not, which is fantastic.
That is, first of all, congratulations and kudos on that. It is amazing. There is a lot of work behind the scenes to get a successful charitable event put together. And it is a lot of stress. There's a lot of headaches. There is a lot of... It all leads up to a big-ass smile on your face when it's all said and done with, when you see your work lead up to that moment. Like I get it. I totally understand everything you're saying, but I also know there's just a lot to it. Like like last week in Seattle, we had our event on Wednesday, and we had it up at Sleight of Hand Cellars with Trey, who I do my other show with, and we were working on it for months. And man, I'm telling you, it's stressful getting all the donations in order, making sure that this is lined up, and then this is lined up, and then guess what? Even on the day of the event, some shit's gonna go south. It did for us. I mean, it made me go on an hour-long trip south of where my event was to pick up a symbol at Dave Cruisen's house, which is a whole nother story for a whole nother show. But but everything was stressful, and you're nervous because you want it to be successful, because it's not just for you, it's for the charity you're raising money for, and it's for the community you're bringing in. You want everything to be perfect for everybody. And then when you find out that not only are you raise more money than you expected. I mean, last Wednesday, I was not expecting to raise $27,000. I mean, that blew my freaking mind.
Wow, fantastic. Well done.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I cried a lot last week, dude. I got to the point where you ever cry so much that like your body wants to cry, but there's literally no more fucking tears to give. That was the first time I ever experienced that last Wednesday. But I know the hard work that you and your team are putting together for this, and for you to be recognized on a level like that, a governmental body that is overseeing the fundraiser, what the hell fuck's the word I'm trying to pull out of my mouth? I'm still like, I'm getting woken up. I'm almost there. That is governing the fundraising, for them to oversee, that even to recognize you on a level, because I mean, I guarantee they get nominations like crazy. For them to recognize you is amazing. To be shortlisted is absolutely fantastic, and I am cheering for you, and I hope nothing but the best for you to get that award, because it's deserved for you and your community that's working their asses off, dude. And I pray that because that's July. You said July 3rd, right?
Yeah, 3rd of July. Yep.
And then you'll see Pearl Jam on what days?
Oh, I see them just a few days before. So I'm going to Dublin on the 21st of July. Sorry, June. Take that back. 21st of June. And then Manchester on the 25th. And then I'm in London on the 29th for the Tottenham show. And then I'm just hanging around London for a couple of days to go to this awards dinner.
Good for
so
you.
Unfortunately, Colin can't make it. It's his wedding anniversary, so he's bowing out. So me and my wife are going to go along and represent Pearl Jam Scotland. So yeah, listen, it's phenomenal. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Listen, I'm bowled over by it. Very humbled by it. Just to be nominated. You know, there's the other two people that have been nominated in our category. These guys are fucking climbing mountains or swimming oceans, and doing all this Herculean stuff. I just do after parties and raffles for a band that I love. It's almost like sometimes it's that imposter syndrome kicks in, where you're like, hang on, I really enjoy this because it's Pearl Jam, and these guys are climbing 4 mountains in a weekend, and you're like, we don't deserve to be standing shoulder to shoulder with these guys. And then somebody like yourself or somebody else will go, well, hold on a second. You've raised $100,000 in 6 years, £100,000 in 6 years. You definitely deserve to be standing shoulder to shoulder with these guys. So yeah, it's going to be good. I'm excited about it. I think everybody in our community is really excited about it as well. They'll be cheering on for us for sure.
Well, I think what we've learned is maybe you need to get your swim trunks on and go swim a fucking ocean. Maybe that's what we need to happen. If that's all that's holding it back, go put your goddamn swim trunks on. Go out, and if they win, just be like, listen, I swam too. I fucking swam. I don't know what else you want from me. No.
I think I got my ankles wet. Would be the as close as it got.
Oh man. Oh wow. I've learned so much in this hour we have spoken. It is amazing. And if I wasn't ecstatic about going back to Boston in September, I'm even more ecstatic to just sit down and I feel very fucking confident in saying that we'll be celebrating. if you raise the $100,000 up to this point, I feel very confident we'll be celebrating even a bigger number at that point. And I also feel very confident that we might be celebrating, and I'll be around an award winner. I mean, it seems like this, I feel it. And, man, I can't wait to see the outcome of that. It's going to be special. Is there any website?
Before all that,
oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So I probably just wanted to quickly just give you a bit of insight about the pre-show party in Manchester, if you don't mind. Yeah,
of course.
So
now, before you do that, you did say that you're seeing Pearl Jam in Tottenham, so you will be seeing Pearl Jam in a real soccer stadium with a real good soccer club. So I'm very excited that you'll be heading that way. So
well, you nearly got it all correct. So I see them at Spurs Ground on the 29th. We are in Manchester on the 25th, and then we're in Dublin on the 21st. Just a shout out to Pearl Jam Island. On the 20th of June, they are doing a pre-party in Fibbers, which is a well-known rock bar in Dublin.
Okay.
And it's £15 on the door, and all profits are going to a mental health charity in Ireland. So seems like it's going to be sold out anyway, but I just wanted to give the guys a shout. They're doing a great job over there,
awesome,
around promoting their brand as well. Manchester pre-party, we are in the Solid Rock. Sorry, we're not. We are in the Hard Rock Cafe in Manchester. We have got some amazing prizes for raffles, which are all available to see on Pearl Jam Scotland through Facebook. So if you just type in Pearl Jam Scotland, you'll see our fundraising page. Scroll down, you'll see the prizes. We have got amazing prizes. I've been doing raffles for 6 years now. Our first prize is it's amazing. So we've got a well-known local artist in Manchester, and she's created this 33-inch by 33-inch montage print. It's a one-off. Her artistry is very, very interesting, how she puts it together. So everything that's on this print was submitted by members of Pearl Jam Scotland. So the images that are on it were all sent down to her digitally. She then uses some form of CAD or Photoshop to blend all these images together, to separate them, prints them off in canvas, and then she layers them with paints and paste and glitter and just a whole bunch of stuff. Glow in the dark paint as well. And she's donated this as a first prize. If you haven't seen it, I've sent you pictures of it this morning through Messenger, and it's a stunning piece, and that's first prize. And then we've got a digital, graffiti artist coming in on the day to do spray painting for the second prize. He's going to paint a skate deck, Lee Hartley. And then Jim Scuteri has donated his time and his skill and his artistry. He runs Firehouse 18, which do the picture framing. He does a really good job on the picture framing. So he's going to frame up a poster of yours for free, and he's really good. He's done 1 in 9, and it's stunning. So we've got these fantastic prizes, and we have already raised about £5,000 before we even kick off. You know, we're still 3 weeks away. We raised about £5,000. We want to be raising £10,000-15,000 on this. For it's such a good prize. So we've got that, and the tickets for that are £10 for the pre-party. And what you do, the £10 gets you in the door, but it also gives you 2 free tickets for the raffle. So, you know, we're giving you 2 free chances to win all these prizes, which is great, and also gets you in the door. We had sold that pre-party out up until I'd spoken to the Hard Rock Cafe day before yesterday, and we managed to squeeze a little bit more space. So there's another 80 tickets available for the pre-show party. I think they'll go pretty quickly. We've sold 300.
Holy moly, good for you.
Up until now. And we're going to push to 400. So I think we'll sell them out pretty easily over the next couple of weeks. So that's $4,000 on ticket sales, which is great. And then we decided we're going to do an after show party as well in Manchester, because everybody was asking me what we're doing after. So we're going to go back to the Hard Rock Cafe, and we're going to rock out till 3 a.m. So they've got a nice little late license for us. So that after show party is free of charge. Wow. So you can go to our Pearl Jam Scotland Facebook page, scroll down, you'll find the link to Eventbrite, the ticket company that we use in the UK, and you can get a couple of free tickets to come to the after show party. They are free, but when you walk in the building, we will be trying to get some money out of your pocket for charity. I'll just put that out there now. So looking forward to that. That's just going to be a great weekend. So Pearl Jam Scotland on Facebook, you'll find us there.
You know, and for you people that are listening from the States that don't know what pounds are, because I had to do the math, I was Googling it just as we're doing. So if you've raised 5,000 pounds, that's $6,392 American, which is an amazing amount of money. So kudos for that. I usually have one of the people from Touring Fan Live usually is dropping links and everything in the chat and on the notes and all this, but everyone's sleeping still. So what we'll do is after I get back from work, we'll have links on not only our social media. We'll do that. We're also going to have it. Once the video is out, and if you're listening to the podcast only version later on when the show after it's live, if you look into the description below, we'll have all those links on there on where to purchase tickets, how to donate, Pearl Jam Scotland, all that. So definitely, if you're listening to the show, don't forget to check out the description and click on those links and give it a look. But yeah, this has been a very magical morning. I guess that's a great way to put it, of listening to these stories and just being enthralled by everything you've done in 6 years, which is crazy. I feel like God, it feels like it was just yesterday at Fenway Park, just, chatting and having a good time. And God, how time flies. And
it does.
It is. I said this last night, especially, my kids are growing up really quickly. I know that the same for you. But man, if there's one villain in this world, it's time. It goes by so quickly, and you can't stop it, you can't slow it down, and you can't buy any more of it. And it is crazy to think that. But man, I can't wait to see you in September. Like, it is going. I am very much looking forward to that interaction and that enjoyment. That is going to be. I have nothing lined up. I am doing no shows. I am not doing any pre-party, after party. I am going there and enjoying the moment because.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I am doing exactly the same. I am not doing anything. Yeah. So when we went to Chicago last year for those shows, I did a little bit of let's meet up, let's get all the unicorns together, a bit of a pre-party in some dive bar in Chicago, which was really good, but it takes effort, and it means you need to be on the clock when you're out there. And we did a couple of other things, Randy's karaoke. And we went up to Sean Sullivan's neighborhood and toasted Sean with his family. And if I was doing that, I'd do that again. I'm not saying that was something I didn't want to do. I absolutely wanted to do it because I was in that place where I wanted to organize and do this stuff. This time in Boston, I'm actually in Boston for a week, so I'm going to do the 2 shows, and I'm going to be a sheep. I'm just going to follow people around, and I'm not going to say, hey, do you want to do this? Or, hey, do you want to go to this bar? I'm just going to follow people around and just take it all in. And then after the 2 shows, Brandon and I and a couple of other friends are going down to spend a couple of days in Cape Cod. Nice. And just put our feet up and hopefully have some nice late summer sunshine, because we're definitely not having that over here currently, Anthony. It was 8 degrees this morning. You can put that into Google and transfer that to the temperature you guys use. So
what system we using?
So is that Celsius to Fahrenheit? Yeah, 8 Celsius. So
46 degrees by you. Jeez.
46 degrees this morning when I get up, and this is supposed to be our summer. I've got a base layer on. I've got a hoodie on. I've got a t-shirt on underneath.
Yeah, I went to Seattle with athletic shorts and short sleeve shirts, and I don't know if you saw, but I was in line for merch. I literally had to put a blanket on, a hoodie on, and like I was not expecting this. The weather has been very not kind to us recently. But
too right.
It's all good. Well, listen, man. Once again, I can't thank you enough for first of all wanting to share your story here, which is fantastic, and wanting to chat with us. It's been great, and everything you're doing is absolutely amazing. But I can't wait to see what the future holds for you, and everyone that's involved with Pearl Jam Scotland. Also, I'm really excited for the fact that there's just these big events coming up, that you're raising it for the right cause, and I am very excited to hear the outcome on July 3rd. Now, before we cue the music, before we say your goodbyes, is there anything else that you need to say before we hit the cues?
Let's make Manchester the pre-party, after-party, and Pearl Jam show to remember. So buy some tickets, come along, join in the fun. It will be, as usual, fucking epic.
Well, I don't know how we're gonna end it better than that. All right, you hang tight. I'm gonna put you in the waiting room. We're gonna close this show out. This is Anthony with Touring Fan Live. That is Pearl Jam Scotland, and this is an early morning show. Until next time, just support Pearl Jam Scotland. Go to their page, purchase raffle tickets, go to the event. Have a great morning, y'all.